Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines.
President Donald Trump has said that talks with Iran could resume at some point, despite his administration halting negotiations for now. Trump told reporters that the situation with Iran was so good, and again claimed that the US had complete control of the Strait of Hormuz. He said that preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon remains the US government's top priority.
Iranian forces have explored options for striking US military assets in Europe if President Donald Trump orders a renewed escalation against Tehran. According to a Financial Times report, the contingency plans include potential targets in Bulgaria and Cyprus and efforts to disrupt subsea communications cables in the Strait of Hormuz. The reported planning reflects growing concern in Tehran that the conflict could expand beyond the Middle East. The Pentagon is evaluating the future of the US military footprint in the Middle East as the Iran war raises fresh questions about the safety and sustainability of American bases in the region. The review could eventually reshape where US troops and military assets are stationed, particularly across the Persian Gulf. The Defense Department is examining whether the United States should pull back troops from the Persian Gulf, where major American military facilities have come under repeated Iranian attacks.
Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has said that his government would continue giving full support to the country's armed forces, despite what he called limitations and challenges. Speaking at a cabinet meeting, Pezeshkian said the government would spare no effort to meet the military's needs. His comments come amid heightened tensions with the United States and ongoing uncertainty over diplomacy. Meanwhile, Iranian lawmakers are considering a security plan that would put the Strait of Hormuz under the direct control of the country's armed forces. Lawmaker Ebrahim Rezai said that the military would manage, monitor, and inspect vessels while setting transit fees. The plan would also allow Iran to raise tariffs or seize assets of states it considers hostile if Iranian interests are harmed.
Furthermore, Iran has rejected the idea of another temporary ceasefire with the United States, insisting instead on a permanent end to the nearly 6-month war. Speaking to Iranian television, Foreign Minister Araghchi said Iran had told mediators that Tehran would not accept a ceasefire that merely pauses the fighting. He specifically praised Qatar and Pakistan for their mediation efforts, saying both countries had played a very important role and that Iran's relationship with them was currently at a very good stage. US President Donald Trump has announced that he is putting a 3-day pause on new 50% tariffs set to go into effect on Canadian goods at midnight, saying the two countries had reached a deal. An hour later, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said in a statement that substantial progress has been made, although there is important work still to be done.
At least 9 Palestinians have been killed in an Israeli airstrike on a police station in Gaza City. At least 15 others were wounded in the attack, with police sources saying that several officers, including senior personnel, were among the dead. The strike comes 2 days after US envoy Jared Kushner left the region without progress on Donald Trump's plan to end the Gaza war.
At least 21 people have died and 4 others injured in a head-on collision between a bus and a truck in the BR-373 highway in Brazil's southern state of Paraná. The road operator said all the fatal victims were on the bus. According to the towed operator, the road was completely blocked, with no estimated time for it to be cleared. Local media reported that the bus involved in the accident belonged to the Imbituva Municipal Health Department.
Former Ukrainian Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov has called for presidential elections to be held despite the ongoing war with Russia, posing a fresh challenge to President Volodymyr Zelensky's leadership. Fedorov said Ukraine needs a legal, safe, and realistic mechanism to restore elections, warning of a systemic crisis of governance and growing fears of political change. Ukraine has remained under martial law since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, suspending elections. Fedorov was dismissed as defense minister last month after only 6 months in the post. Zelensky has not publicly responded to the call. Fedorov previously served as digital transformation minister and played a key role in Ukraine's drone and technology-driven war effort. China urges countries to respect digital sovereignty and avoid taking sides in the global artificial intelligence race, after reports that the United States plans to pressure nations to choose between competing US and Chinese AI frameworks. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said China opposes bloc confrontation on AI and called for international cooperation to build a fair global AI governance system. The remarks came after Reuters reported that Washington is preparing to warn countries they could be excluded from a US-led AI coalition if they also join China's competing framework.
That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.